Good afternoon. My name is Beth Kuberka, and I am the Rewind. I am a Chief Development Marketing Communication Officer for the POA. Today at the Town Hall for July, we are going to be talking about HelpSpot for me, and then we have Scott Macrae that's going to do a Tanasi update and a TAP update, and then Jerry Dougherty, our Chief from the Volunteer Fire Department for Tellico Village, is also going to give us an update for so far this year. So we'll jump into HelpSpot. It's your go-to spot for Tellico Village questions, help, and more. So what we wanted to outline today was kind of just how easy it is to use HelpSpot and just to help everybody understand where you can find it. So currently on the POA website, I'm not logged in. And you will see in the very first page, you can see HelpSpot down toward the middle of the page. And then once you click that, it is going to take you to the HelpSpot webpage. And then this page, it kind of gives you an idea of what you can do to submit a ticket and encourages you to look at the frequently asked questions, because a lot of people might find the answer there versus having to fill out a HelpSpot. So on the Q&As, you'll see we have employment, brush and leaf pickup, which is a very popular topic that we get a lot of questions on. And then to submit a ticket underneath home, you'll see it says submit a ticket. And then you'll see this screen pop up. You'll enter your name, email address, and phone number, and then the highlighted area says, is this an urgent matter? This is really mostly used for POA staff if we're having an issue that we need IT to look at urgently. Our printer's not printing. Our credit card processor isn't working. This is not intended for public works emergencies, like sewer alarms going off, a suspected water leak, a tree blocking the road. In that instance, we would like people to call the Public Works line, which is monitored 24/7, 365 days a year. And I've put that number on the screen. If you're just filling out a HelpSpot for any other thing, I need gravel on my road, I have a general question, you name it, there's no wrong reason to fill out a HelpSpot. You can also add pictures. You can see down towards the bottom of what you're trying to describe, and then you will submit your HelpSpot. As soon as you submit it, you're going to get this screen. And this access code at the top, and that's kind of long, and we don't expect you to remember that, but that's what you use to check your ticket later on. The good news is we also email this to you, and I'm going to show you that in just a second as well. So you'll see I've did a test for this demonstration, and that's the box that you can see with my name. Now I want to know, what's the status of my inquiry? I haven't heard back, or maybe I thought I missed it in an email. So in the first box, that's where you would enter that long access code. Let's say you forgot that access code. I'm going to show you in just a second where you can get it again. But once you use your access code, it's going to log you in, and then you're going to see I have two messages now. I have one, which was my original inquiry. I have a test. And then two, I'm assigning this to myself for our demonstration purposes. And then at this point, you could add anything in the box, update another file if you needed to, and submit that back. And this is going to create a conversation between you and whoever the ticket has been assigned to. And that can continue on until the problem is solved. If you don't remember what your access key is, this is the email that you're going to get initially once you turn in your HelpSpot. This is the email you would want to save for easy access, and all you have to do is the blue highlighted that says view the completed request history. As soon as you click on that, it's going to give you that long access code. So we don't expect you to remember it. And then once the problem's solved, the staff member assigned is going to close out the ticket, and you will receive this email. And we really encourage you to please fill this out. It helps us know what we're doing good and what we're doing bad, and helps us do better and provide better customer service to property owners. And once you select this, it opens up a box where you can leave comments. So if you left a neutral, dissatisfied, or very dissatisfied, we would hope that you would leave a comment on why you had an unsatisfactory experience with HelpSpot. And then if you have one of those, you're probably going to get a follow-up email from me opening the ticket back and trying to help you solve your problem a little bit further. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Dougherty. We're going to do this in reverse. I'm sorry, but Chief told me when he got here, he's like, I have to be out early. I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll go to you and then go back to Scott. Sorry, I got clicky. Is that it? All right.
Good afternoon. My name's Jerry Dougherty. I'm the Fire Chief, Tellico Village Volunteer Fire Department in Loudoun County. I have 4 points basically I'd like to go over is our run data, our team, training, and thank you. So this is just a little snapshot of the past 5 years of our runs. And you can see that last year we had 1,631 calls. And as of June 30th, we had 851. And today we're at 895. 80% of the calls are medical. And the team, we have 7 AEMTs on staff, and the star means 2 of those are paramedics, but we are not licensed to operate with paramedics, so they are functioning as an AEMT. We have 2 BEMTs, that's 1 step down, and then we have 25 emergency medical responders, and we have 6 in training. So we have 40 members on staff right now, active members of the department. We have 1 state-certified fire instructor, 2 state-certified EMR instructors, so that means with those 2 individuals, we can do all the training in-house to our personnel. We have 6 advanced life support certified CPR instructors, so we can teach people on CPR, and we work with our associate members and have CPR and stop the bleed classes monthly at the station. And we have 2 certified vehicle extrication instructors in the department. We're on pace to have over 4,300 hours of training in 2025, and we continue to work with fire safety with the village, completing fire inspections at the library, coordinating fire training and fire drills with the wellness center, and partnering with Scott on safety at the rebuild of Tanasi. And just to comment, Tuesday, we had a fire alarm go off at the Wellness Center. And by the time I got there, and I'm normally the first one on the scene because I was at the station, so that was very quick, everyone was outside of the building and over near the pickleball courts. Major, major improvements. And we also are investigating in technology. We just purchased and have trained with a device called an Aqua Eye. We can stick it underneath the bow of our boat. It's a handheld device, and we can go out 160 meters and locate a body in the water. And it'll identify a body, and it'll give an X, and it's got a 95% accuracy as far as locating the person. It'll identify where trees are, but so we got that. There's only 3 of them in East Tennessee at this time. And this is our website, and if you have any questions, we try to keep this up to date, and we put information out about weather emergencies and stuff like that, our QR code and our email or web address. And if you'd like to make donations up in the top right-hand corner, we'll take those. And then on our, this is another address I'd like you to consider is Loudoun County 911. They have a website, and up in the top right-hand corner, you'll see it's called Address Advisory. Click on that, and it'll give you the screen on your right, and it'll ask you to fill in the information, and that way, if there's an emergency in your house and you have a code for your door, you can fill it in there. They will call us. We have to call them on the phone. It will not be transmitted over the radio, so it's very secured. If you have dogs or an elderly parent or anybody in the house with you, fill in that information and we'll be aware of that situation. And thanks to the POA for their Knox box systems that they've installed on all the buildings. They have updated the fire doors and sealing all the firewall openings and focused on fire prevention. Their hydrant testing and maintenance programs is super. We are really pleased working with the Public Works Group. And thank you to the Tellico Village Singers, because that's where I have to go, because they had a concert early July, and we were the beneficiaries of it. And we're going to be receiving, I'm hearing, a little over $12,000 from them. And we are partnering, we're splitting, not splitting, it's 15% with the Kahidi first responders. They're going to get 15%. And with our proceeds, we're going to buy state-of-the-art technology for training in our training room. It'll be big screens, TVs, you write on a pad instead of a marker or anything like that. So we're going high tech. And to our residents, thank you for participating in our open house in May. We fed 635 people despite the bad weather. And this thank you goes to Beth and her team. We partnered, and this is an ad that's in the National Volunteer Fire Council magazine. It gets about 75,000 distribution. So discover Tellico Village Fire Department. Thank you.
Oops, too far. So let me go ahead and give everybody the construction update. If you were at the HOA meeting on Tuesday, you've probably already seen these slides. I did get a couple of questions afterwards, so I'll add a few comments that I didn't make on Tuesday. But construction has moved along really well at Tanasi. We placed over 230 cubic yards of concrete for the cart barn walls. We've got most of the form stripped off now. We've got the potable water line all the way from the main line at 444 connected down to where it will connect into the building. Until we get the building built, we can't finish that connection. We're completing the installation of the new fire water line. So we've got 2 fire water lines. We put in 2 new pumps, and we brought an 8-inch fire water line all the way up to the parking lot area. And I did see someone said, and one of the questions I got afterwards, did you guys screw up already and have to cut through our new parking lot binder? No, that was not a mistake. We could have put a 16-inch sleeve underneath that part of the parking lot, but the contractor decided it was much less expensive to dig through that because the paving in the parking lot right now is only the binder coat. It's not the finished coat. We've got a whole nother coat going in there, so it's going to be nice and smooth and finished rather than the rough surface that we have there. That was an intentional construction scheduling issue that we did. And we will be, if all goes well, we'll be placing the binder coat, the gravel and the binder coat for the restaurant parking area the first week of August. And we will go ahead and put the binder coat back over that one area so we won't be driving through that. So no, that was not a mistake. The structural steel is on site. Starting Monday, we will be putting the structural steel for the cart barn ceiling pro shop floor. We'll be starting to put that in, and the goal is by the end of this month to have the concrete placed for the rest of the cart barn, the ceiling there, and then the floor for the cart barn as well. So we're trying to move through all of that. We are installing the guardrail along the cart path from the 9th green. Any of the ladies that were out there playing in the tournament on Tuesday, that's when we started, so we were digging there, tried to stay off the cart. And anybody, the gentlemen that were playing this morning in the tournament, hopefully you didn't run over my guardrail installers because they were putting the guardrails up this morning. We are applying the damp proofing to the basement walls. Right now we've got the bottom 8 feet covered, and we do have to go all the way up to the top. So we're going to put the other 6 feet in, but the construction progress is once we put the drain tile in, we'll go ahead and put some stone over the drain tile, then we'll start backfilling. we'll get the backfill up to about 7 feet, and then we'll install the rest of the damp proofing, and that way we save on not having to put scaffold up. And it's a lot safer that way rather than having the damp proofer working from scaffold. He'll be working from compacted soils and all that. That said, we were a little worried. We had really, really good weather this past month. It's been dry. And the problem is as we started, we were getting ready to backfill, the soil didn't have enough moisture content in it, so that rain last night was really helpful to the progress of the project here. We will be installing all the electrical conduit. The electrical contractor was out there today, starting his installation of that. And once he gets it through the parking lot, he'll go into the under slab utilities, basically electrical and plumbing for our restroom, sinks, and kitchen. And once we get all of that done, like I said, we'll start putting the gravel and the binder layer for the restaurant parking. So hopefully that'll cut down on a lot of the dust that we've had from the construction site. All the construction workers will park over in that area, and then we still have the parking area for the golf course, and the pro shop, and the boat docks. I was over there on Sunday, and I asked Lucas, I said, is nobody out on the course today? Because the parking lot looked mostly empty. And he says, oh no, the course is full. We only have 2 carts left. And yet the parking lot was about half empty or half full. So we've added a tremendous amount of parking. And so I think I've had a lot of compliments on how much parking is there. One other thing about the backfilling, there was some question, again, this came up after the HOA meeting. There was a question about what's going on behind behind the golf maintenance area on Davis Ferry Road, or for those golfers that are familiar with the course, off of the first green, second tee. It looks like there's some construction of a par 3 course or something else. No, that is where we're stockpiling the soils so we can backfill the restaurant hole, the holes around the cart barn. So that is not new construction. That is just where we're storing our dirt, because it would have been in the way if we'd have left it on site. So just a couple of quick photos. I think most of you, if you were driving around when we had all the forms up, we've got most of them stripped now, but those are 14-foot tall. We were placing the concrete in there. I think almost everybody saw that nice big pump arm when we did that. We needed that in order to get completely around. It took about 6.5 hours of pumping concrete in there in one day. So that was an excellent job by our contractor. Forms are stripped here mostly in the forms. And here's the damp proofing. So it's the heavy sheet type damp proofing, so we should not have any problems with moisture into the cart barn. Structural steel, like I said, this is both the vertical and the horizontal steel, so we'll be placing that starting next week. We'll have a crane on site to start that activity. We did put a grease tank in for the restaurant, similar to the design of all the other restaurants. It's self-contained, so on about a quarterly basis, we schedule grease removal from all of the grease tanks from the different restaurants, and we'll do that. We'll just add Tanasi to that. I showed this one last time, but we did bore and put a sleeve under 444. We do have the line tied in to the main water line across the street, and all we have to do is now finish up the last 40 feet. And the contractor right now, we're trying to get him through the parking lot, get that finished, get it tied in. That'll be our dedicated sprinkler, fire water line for our sprinklers, and then the hydrants. There's 2 hydrants that'll tie into this line. He'll do that once he finishes and gets out of the way of the parking lot. That way we can get gravel placed. This is the guardrail that we had installed between the pro shop and the starter shack. The same design is being used for the 9th hole, the 9th green, down to the dock entrance. So there's 230 feet of, or 224 feet of guardrail that'll look just like this. A TAP update. We've got 4 active projects on for TAP right now. The main pump station, obviously, we've got an updated cost estimate, had some additional discussions. We're still working with the contractor on that. He did come back to us and say he can be substantially complete so that we can keep the grant if we get him mobilized not later than October 1st. We did meet with TDEC, Loudoun County, and the East Tennessee Development District to discuss the grant options, and they said the grant funds are still ours and they want us to use them. So they're looking very aggressively for us to continue to do that. I&I efforts, reduction efforts. We are making a tremendous amount of progress there. Obviously, how successful we are, we don't know yet. And the reason why I say that, we've got all of the tank extensions installed at Kahidi. We've inspected them all. We've put the tank extensions on all of them, and now we're waiting for rain. And when I say that, and again, Tuesday night at the HOA, people said, "What do you mean we're waiting for rain?" It rained one of the wettest May we had. The problem is it didn't rain enough. And by that I mean we had 1.25 inches of rain on May 1st, 1 1/8 inches on May 2nd, and just over 1.25 inches on May 3rd. So we had 3 inches in 3 days. That's not enough to cause an overflow. One day later in May, I believe it was the 19th, we had 1.5 inches in one day. We went back to 2024, the last time we had an overflow at Kahidi. We had 3.75 inches of rain, 3.69 inches of rain on May 8th. In just under 4 hours, we had an overflow. Later that May, on May 23rd, we had 3.11 inches of rain, no overflow. It was in about 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours. We had another 3 inches of rain the next 2 days. So in 3 days, we had 6.5 inches of rain. We did not have an overflow at Kahidi. So when people tell me it rained hard in May and we didn't have an overflow, therefore we know those tank extensions are working, that is a conclusion that cannot be supported by the data and is an incorrect conclusion. Now, are they working? I don't know. I just don't have data that confirms that. That said, inspections and remediation continue in the main village. We're over 1,500, which is about just under a third of the village, the tanks in the main village. We're running about the same 25 to 30% failure. Tanks that are below grade, I shouldn't say failure rate, tanks that are below grade. We are adding those extensions. We've got, I think we're now up to just under 425 of those. We've got 483 identified. And so we're moving pretty aggressively toward that. So we're about a week behind. The installers are about a week behind the inspectors, which is a really good place for us to be. This way, they get called off to do other things when they're not servicing leaks or tapping sewer lines, which they've been doing, or installing new tanks. We're in the process of training 3 new tank installing companies. So our guys are a little bit tied up doing that. We're taking care of that. As the inspectors find damaged lids, they are replacing those tank lids. And again, by replacing tank lids that are cracked, have holes in them or whatever, it reduces the I&I potential, and it also is a safety issue, because a couple of those, we found some with like 8-inch holes in them. And as grandkids are playing and people are walking around, or your landscapers mowing your yard, we would hate for them to have a problem there. Kahidi Pump Station, we've got an upgrade plan for Kahidi Pump Station. The task order was issued to Jacobs Engineering to do a flow study. Basically what they're doing is a preliminary engineering report. They're looking at, do we go all new, or do we go and reutilize the existing wet well over there and put in larger pumps with all the controls that, to modernize that system so we can do remote controls and all of that. We expect that around the beginning of September. We did have a meeting the 20th of June with TAS. They did say that they can handle our maximum flow rate, the maximum flow rate that the line can handle, which is 500 GPM. So we feel very comfortable that that means Kahidi will not need any kind of surplus storage, that it'll all be handled with the wet well upgrade, or the pump station upgrades and the new controls. Elevated water storage tank. Jacobs did submit a 60% design on that. PSAC had started the review of that, and we put that on hold because of some questions that came up from residents. So we are looking at evaluating flow issues, pressure issues around the village. Jacobs is updating their water model to make sure that, or let me rephrase, they're validating the water model that they had to confirm that indeed the original model, the original conclusions did include the new flows and the higher pressure from LUB. It did, and it did include water from TAS. So some of the flaws that people thought were in the original model, that was an incorrect assumption by those folks. But they're relooking at that. We met with TAS to see if they could provide additional water to us during peak periods. They said they could provide additional water as long as it wasn't during irrigation times. So no, they cannot provide peak water usage, peak period water demand to us because they have the same problem that LUB and we have. When people water their lawns, we consume a lot more water than we can take in from our two water suppliers. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen the water tank go from 42 feet, which is completely full, or 41 feet, sorry, full tank, down to 16 feet by 10:30 in the morning when people are irrigating. And that was taking full rates from both TAS and LUB. So basically, and then there was also one of the questions that we've asked Jacobs to look at is, can we get away with not replacing our existing water tank? It is in need of repair. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last couple of years repairing it. The tank company that repairs that says it's can be band-aided again, but they won't guarantee that it won't keep leaking after they fix it. So we'd be spending good money after bad. Basically, the answer to that is we need a tank. The question is what size. LUB and TDEC and TAS, all three have said we cannot use any of their capacity as part of our storage other than the 1 million gallon tank that we had LUB put in. We need 1.5 million to 1.6 million. So that's where we are with those. And at that, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
While we do this, I'm going to read. I do have a statement to read before we get started on the open questions and answers. And this was actually sent out in a teleflash right before the meeting, so some of you may or may not have seen it. What does the TPUC mean for Tellico Village? The POA was notified earlier this week of an inquiry submitted by a property owner to the Tennessee Public Utility Commission, asking whether or not the POA utilities are subject to TPUC regulations. In response to a recent social media commentary mischaracterizing the current regulation discussion involving the POA utilities, we wanted to clarify the facts and provide some context. 1, the original property owner inquiry. The property owner's inquiry original filing did not allege any wrongdoing or raise any concern about the POA's utility policies, rates, or operation. It simply asked TPUC for the legal determination. Is the POA subject to TPUC regulation? This is the sole question under consideration. 2, Consumer Advocate Division filing. Following the inquiry, the Consumer Advocate Division of the Tennessee Attorney General's Office filed a petition to intervene. Like the original inquiry, their filing did not include any complaints about the specific operation or financial management of the POA utilities. They are requesting that the POA show cause why it should not fall under the TPUC regulation. Again, this is a procedural administrative matter, not a reflection upon the operation, service, or rate structure of the POA utilities. The court questioned the fundamental issue whether the POA must submit annual utility reports to TPUC, not whether our utilities are doing anything improper. This is a jurisdictional question, not a compliance issue. Some historical context: the POA utilities have been operating successfully for over 40 years. Long before TPUC even existed, our utilities were developed as an essential part of the Tellico Village Master Plan, which was approved by TVA and TRDA. We have always obtained the necessary permits through the Tennessee Department of Environmental and Conservation, TDEC, and passed regular TDEC compliance and inspections. Furthermore, state law has long exempt entities like the POA from regulations by TPUC. This is an exemption that has been consistently acknowledged over the years by TDEC, the Tennessee Controller, and the Tennessee Association of Utility Districts. The POA has already met with the consumer advocate to further explain the POA's statutory exemptions from TPUC regulations. We remain confident that once the consumer advocate has reviewed the full background and legal structure of the POA utilities, this matter will promptly be resolved. We encourage property owners who still have questions to use the HelpSpot, which we outlined earlier in the meeting, to ask information and seek accurate answers. Thank you. And now with that, we will open it up for questions, and then just as a quick reminder, please keep your comments and questions to 3 minutes. And I would say that if you want a response to your question, to allow time for someone to answer it. Sometimes people rapid fire questions and we don't have an opportunity to answer them adequately. If you will state your name.
My name is James Guy. I'm from Tokwa. I'm one of those loud voices that Mr. Orr took 9 minutes to demonize last board meeting, while claiming he spoke to multiple loud voices, and I talked to 8 of them and not one of them spoke to Mr. Orr. But I'll deal with that at the next board meeting, because that's where he used the forum to abuse his position for 9 minutes, to demonize us that speak out. But I'm glad you read out the email, because I've got the docket here right in front of me, and it alleges that there's 4 cases of violation of state law. One of them being that this POA does not have an exemption on file as required in 2009, and that this POA has been functioning and supplying water to commercial entities. And that exemption is for POAs and HOAs that exclusively supply water to their residents and their property owners. So whoever wrote that email, I'm pretty sure it was rushed, it sounds like, because it was just to get it in before this meeting. But I strongly encourage you guys to stop demonizing us that want to speak out and use our freedom of speech and use other forums other than the POA ones that Mr. Orr would approve of, and then demonize us for speaking out. Why not put the docket number? You can click anybody in here, encourage you to go into next door. Ask me, I'll give you my email address, I'll give you the docket. All I do is ask you to read it. Read it and see. It says, it contradicts almost everything you just said. It says we don't have the exemption on file. It says we're not supposed to be providing to commercial properties. It goes on and on. The Attorney General wrote up a dissertation, a 16-page dissertation, and brought 4 cases of violation of state law. And you guys trivialize it by saying, oh, the core issue is this. Just ignore these loud voices, as Mr. Orr would call us, on Nextdoor and other Facebook platforms. Where does this POA get to tell us as Americans that we should only listen to the voice of John Orr or of the POA? That we should only listen to polls that are official? That Mr. Orr, who chooses when it suits him to use Lowell Russell's poll, where we are all taught to reach out to our state representatives, give them our opinion, get them to support or deny a measure, but he used it for his benefit in January. I encourage everybody, take a minute, 40 minutes in, go back to January's meeting, watch Mr. Orr present that, hey, Russell's all supportive of it. Watch the other board members say, oh, as long as Russell's supporting it, I'm going to support it. And then 6 months later, oh, I'm going to put a slide deck together and abuse my position and sit there and tell us all what bulk means more than one. I'm glad I was board-splained. It's a borderline mansplaining. And this thing as well, he gets 9 minutes to demonize
Okay, your
us
time
all.
is up.
Yeah, you get 9 minutes, but we get 3 minutes. And you have
That's
that
right.
arrogant smile on your face.
It's not surprising that some of the loud voices are resort to ad hominem attacks. You know,
It's a fact, John. It's a fact.
no, it's
If you're
not.
gonna attack me, I'm gonna
Okay,
stand
here, I'm
at the
gonna read some things.
podium. You're gonna attack, can I stand at the podium
No,
and answer
you're
it?
done. Sit
But you don't
down.
get to tell me I'm done.
Yes, we have rules.
So you get to just attack, that's what you do all the time. You don't answer, you just go back and
He's
attack.
trying to answer. He's going to read some stuff.
So here's some of the information that was presented to the advocacy lawyer that submitted that 16-page, it wasn't the Attorney General, that wants to intervene in an administrative process that had normally no reason to be involved at all, but for some reason they want to intervene. And all the accusations in that filing were if we were subject to their regulation, then we would have violated some of their regulations by not filing annual reports and those things. But it has not been determined that we're subject to their regulation. The TVA has pointed out, TRDA gave us authority to set up, they approved the master plan of the community, which included the water and sewer services, gave us a 99-year lease on 1,600 acres in order to put our utilities on that property. And there's been court cases, Tennessee Court of Appeals, TCA 65-4-101, certified that public utilities that are managed by a board of directors who are elected by the members could be exempt from TPUC regulation. Again, this is all new to this advocate attorney today when they met. She already said that the TVA's been, or the POA's been operating the utility for over a decade before the TPUC ever existed, and in 40 years have never sought to exercise any jurisdiction over the POA utilities. And I guess that court case, TCA 65-4-101, provides that public utility does not mean nonprofit homeowners association or organizations whose membership is limited to owners of lots in residential subdivisions, which associations or organizations own, construct, operate, or maintain water systems for the exclusive use of the subdivision. And in that master plan, it fully contemplated commercial properties in there. And oh, by the way, no commercial user in the village can tap into our water or sewer system unless they're a member of the association. So we're not a public utility, we're a private utility for the exclusive use of members of the POA. And basically at the end of this meeting today, it was stated that the lawyers there had no idea of the background of Tellico Village and are, I forget what the actual wording was, but confident that we can resolve this matter prior to any sort of administrative hearing. So in other words, before we even have to present anything in front of some administrative board, they think that it can be resolved now that they have much more information and legal precedent for how we're a private utility. So it's, I think overreach by some advocate lawyer that wanted to intervene for some reason, I don't know, but it could be resolved in the next week or two possibly and completely dismissed.
And we'll update the community once we hear back.
Thank you, John. Okay, have you all gone on to the TPUC's website and read anything on it?
Yeah,
Okay, what have you read? Have you read the exemptions?
I just read you an exemption.
Okay, I got the exemption right here on their website right now. It says homeowners association, nonprofit homeowners associations, unable to obtain service from local utility districts. That's one of the exemptions. Now, I've done this in the last 15 minutes after I got off the water and came here, okay? And I found this. So not only does it say that, it says the TPUC has regulation over public and private utility companies, right? Utility providers.
Can I ask you a question? You said that if they were unable to get water from another district.
Right.
That's been your first statement of our contract. Here, we are not allowed to get water from Florida.
Yeah, come on, let's not
Where do we
interrupt
get
people.
water from? From who?
We're not part of the service.
That's semantics and you know it.
We-
Yeah, it
We
is.
own the infrastructure. Please continue.
So, thank you for stopping that, by the way. But anyhow, it's pretty plain what it says. And just because it was started after Tellico Village was created, do you know how many laws were created in this country after businesses were started that aren't exempt from those laws? So I wouldn't become so arrogant to think that you're above any law.
Might follow your own advice.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Why don't you get up here and talk? If you know.
Hey, come on, shh, please. Shh. Listen, come on, let's speak. Listen, we're gonna be kind or we're gonna have to end the meeting.
So I just want to
Wait,
clarify.
hold on, just 1 second. Just 1 second. I just want to remind people of the guidelines of the meeting. If we can please all follow them, that would be great. Thank you.
So I just want to remind everybody, again, go read the thing yourself. When John talks, half of it seems to be almost true. When you make statements, Mr. Orr, that some sorry, my mouth is dry. Some advocate, consumer advocate, was the one who brought this forward. The filing right at the very start says, the Consumer Advocate Division of the Office of the Tennessee Attorney General. This was not some little lone consumer advocate that ran with something. It was presented all the way through in a first docket for review by the Attorney General himself. So please, all I ask you for is give full information and not imply that this is some rogue consumer advocate that grabbed a case for no reason. That's a fact. Read the docket. You may not like it. You can shake your head all you want, but read the docket. That's all I ask. If it doesn't apply, do you think the Attorney General's office of the Tennessee just flippantly didn't read these other statutes and some little consumer guy decided to grab a case and try and make some money? This was filed by the Consumer Advocate's Office of the Attorney General with the approval of the Attorney General's office. So to dismiss it like that is absolutely insane.
I just read you.
Sorry, you should have honored the rules up there. I'm required.
Listen, I would say that we are obviously going to follow the law, and everybody jumping to conclusions, let's follow through the process, and we'll update you as we move through it. We've read it, we understand it, we're most definitely not passing it by, we're addressing it to the best extent of our...
Can I respectfully ask that the docket itself be posted along with your email and let the members read it?
Sure,
But why is that so complicated?
it's
Let
not.
everybody read it.
No one
They can
said we
come
wouldn't
in.
do that.
Well, but you could have did it when you sent out the email.
Exactly, we could have, and we apologize for not doing that. Go ahead, if you'll say your
Yeah,
name.
my name is Ken Heatley, and I'm wearing my Recreation Committee shirt and name tag, but this has nothing to do with them. I moved to the village over 7 years ago. At that time, it was a real friendly place. People got along. There was none of this acrimony going on. And I gotta admit, I'm pretty pissed off right now. People posting on Nextdoor, maligning the reputation of some of these people that are volunteering their time and their lives to serve us. These are people that had outstanding careers before coming to the village, well-qualified, upstanding people, and yet people will take these pot shots at them on Nextdoor. May or may not be right, I don't know, but why jump to conclusions before we find out exactly what's going on? It's one thing to say, I don't agree with the tap thing, for example. I don't really know, I'm not an engineer, but give your advice, let them, we elected them to do a job here, let them decide what to do, and then move on. But all this crap going on in the village needs to stop. People, you think they want to move here by hearing stuff like that? I don't think so. There's a way of presenting things that's profitable and gets things done, and then there's another way that's destructive. This is destructive.
We do have an online question from Mr. Chris Hofer. His question is, for the board president, is when is the plan to review our water and sewer rates against expenses to provide the water and adjust to cover the expenses only and not fund other expenses or projects?
Well, we've said all along the water rates should be reviewed during the budgeting process. We're going to be presenting, it's going to be August before we have the full breakout of water and sewer reserves versus general reserves. That goes back to 2022. And then we would be able to show what the financial model looks like going forward that allows us to not collect the $80. So I think that'll bring a lot more insight into where money is being used and where it's not being used, because all the profits, if you will, from water and sewer rates are being used on water and sewer projects. And none of it's going to Tanasi or golf courses or anything else. So I guess, unfortunately, we wanted to do it this month at the board meeting. We couldn't get all the questions answered in time to have the full financial model ready to present. So it's unfortunately, it's going to be August when we have all that ready.
And then we had another, this was more of a comment from Martin Sullivan, and this was for Chief Dougherty, so I'll have to make sure that he gets this. But he says, Chief Dougherty, you have my greatest admiration and appreciation for your leadership and management of a magnificent team of first responders.
Just I want to make one comment I found in the lawyer's comments here. The master plan agreement between TVA and TRDA with Cooper Communities required the creation of not only the POA as a nonprofit, but also the installation of a central water and sewer system to serve the planned residential development, because there was no other utility in the area willing or able to provide service to this large of a development. Back in the 80s, LUB did not have the infrastructure to service, 6,000 lots. So that was the agreement that was put in place. They agreed to our master plan only if we did the utilities ourselves. So that's the genesis of why we're in the utility business. Nobody wants to be in the utility business. And I'm sure Cooper would have gladly have let Loudon run the utilities, because they didn't want to be in the utility business either.
Thanks, John. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Linda Garza. Some of you may know me as the HOA president. I'd like to personally thank, and on behalf of the board, thank Scott for coming to our socials, providing updates on the Tanasi rebuild as well as TAP. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Beth and the POA staff for putting out the telegram. I just learned today when I was on a hike this morning with some folks in regards to the topic of TUP or TPUC. Still learning, still listening to information in regards to it. One of the things that I noticed in the Nextdoor post was alarming, and it's one of the reasons why our board, the HOA board, is currently actually looking at and asking for our membership vote, and that is to move away from the name HOA. As you can imagine, in looking at Nextdoor and the references to HOA that are inappropriate as it relates to the POA, it's one of the main reasons why we are undertaking the opportunity now to change our name, to separate us from the POA. We are not as defined in most definitions in HOA. We are a club, an organization that advocates on your behalf, on the behalf of our residents, but also brings activities and many other things that bring value to our membership. So if you haven't opened the survey that went out yesterday and you're an HOA member, I please ask you, take the 2 minutes. It's one of the shortest surveys that you'll ever see. If you'll take the 2 minutes and make sure your voice is heard. The other thing that was very concerning in looking at some of the Nextdoor comments were very much in line with what Mr. Heatley had addressed. But more importantly, I think it's very important that our residents understand this other direction, or this potential other direction that this is going in, is the potential, or what they're looking for is to bring our current services under LUB. And Mike, you're here as a person who has been involved in water and sewer for many, many years, right? As well as Scott and Matt. We all know that LUB's infrastructure is older than ours. It is in greater need of repair and service than ours. For us to go under an LUB or another utility company means that we not only would pay for us, but everybody else's water and sewer issues. And I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of term, or maybe this is a perfect opportunity to ask our current board members if we think it's a good idea for our Tellico Village residents to pay for everyone else's infrastructure needs as well as our own. I think it's something that everybody needs to be very, very aware of and keep an eye on, and make sure that you understand the direction that that conversation is going in, and also give our board members, new and legacy, the opportunity to take care of our community and do what's right. And I honestly believe that there's not a person on that board who isn't trying to do that today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on, there's somebody in line. Come on up, Linda.
Linda Parker. I'm in the Chotaview Courts Townhouse neighborhood, and townhouse owners are homeowners just like the rest of us in the village. And I just want to tag on to that question that came in from online about the, you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
About the
You can pull it
$80
down if you need to. There you go. Thank you.
Okay, I'm a little bit shorter then. About the $80 assessment fee that we've had on our water bill. And first, I want to commend the board for sticking to your word, because way back when we first heard about it, you told us that you were going to be evaluating it, and if you found that we didn't need it, you would stop charging it to us. And we just learned in the last month or two that happened. So math was not my best subject, but I did sit down and figure this out. And I'm sure I'm not the only person in the village that was smart enough to do the math on this, and my math may be wrong, but I think we went 9 months with you collecting $80 from each of us. That's $720 per water bill in the village. And I don't know the exact number, but I guess that we probably have at least 6,000 homeowners in the village that are paying a water bill. That comes out to $4,320,000. And you just said that you're gonna be using that for water and sewer? Okay, I just wanna make sure that we all understand what kind of numbers we're talking about, because that's more bigger numbers than I'm used to dealing with, so. That's, thank you, again, I wanna thank you guys for sticking to your word.
Sorry, can the board just answer the question from the lady from the HOA? I understand she just read it, or she's not even read it, so that total misconception that we will fall under Loudon is absolutely not true. Read the docket. All it's saying is that this property owners association will manage their utility system under the commission. It's got nothing to do with us. We'll still get our water from Loudon. And I don't think you meant intentionally, but that fear-mongering that Loudon's got all this bad infrastructure and how's that going to affect us, it won't affect us at all. The full docket speaks to us being brought under the commission, and the commission, we have to get approval for rate increases, $80 increases. We can only use the money for water sources. So respectfully, please read the docket. There's nothing in it about Loudon, nothing at all.
I'm sorry for the outburst earlier. I've been here 20-some years.
What's your name, sir?
Ken Ryan, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And I have never seen it like this the last 2 years. It's incredible. First of all, just answer your little point there. Yeah, because I think if we get put underneath the commission, there might be other things that we might be forced to do under that, like appoint a board of governors to run that commission and pay them, okay? I think we're just going the wrong direction. First of all, I'd like to ask finance. Can you give me a number on the budget for a year for this village, roughly?
Turn your thing on, Judy.
Roughly.
Yeah, our budget this year is around $40 million with expenses around
I listen to these meetings every month. I listen to all of this stuff. 40 million is a number I know pretty well. I don't care if the money is taken out of the sewer bill, if it's taken out of the golf course, if it's taken out of the wellness center. The bill for us to live in this community and get the things that we have is $40 million. The only other way to get that money is to assess. An assessment, everybody thinks that's a great idea. That can be very slow in reacting to fix a problem. That's one of the reasons the people had the foresight to put a representative board in place. So that can happen. They represent us. If you don't like them, we vote them off the board. And well, that's your opinion. I don't think we're going to do that. But I think that we need to go through them. I'm totally disgusted with people going to Lenore City, Loudon, as representatives of this community, talking to their boards and their public works departments or whatever they want to do, and they don't have any authority. And they spread a bunch of stuff out there, what they heard or what they didn't hear. That is the guy and that is the board that should be talking to these two communities if we have to get an issue corrected. And, we all agreed that that's what we were going to do when we moved here. And I can tell you right now, if you think your expenses are going to go down here, I've been here 20 years. I just paid a $240 electric bill. It used to be $80. It had nothing to do with the village. We are going to have bills go up, up, up. And I can tell you this, I've watched people move out of here because the bills are too high. That's all I got to say.
You gonna call me
me, Beth?
No?
Hi, I'm Mike Lackey. Linda, you asked a question real quick about the cost of services study and the increase in the water. For decades, we paid less than the city of Loudon paid, considerably less, like 50%. Right now, the city, the LUB, is currently going under a cost of services study that irregardless of whether we get water from someplace else or whatever, they have to recoup their cost of services because they are judged by the PUC. TAS is doing the same thing. So the water rates that we get billed from them, whether we're getting our water from them and directly or we're buying it wholesale, which is what we're doing now. We have 4 meters that we buy from LUB and 1 meter that we buy from TAS. And at times we consume, I saw one month that we were almost 40 million gallons. So there's a lot there, but we get water from TAS. Cooper originally designed this thing to get all of the water from TAS because LUB couldn't provide the water. They were supposed to bring another line in at the north end of the village. Decades ago, LUB bought Little Piney Water, and they went under, and LUB had too much capacity. And so they approached Winston at that time, and he made a deal with them because they had too much water, and we were getting water for decades at less than what they could produce the stuff for inside the city of Loudon. And right now, we're still getting preferred rates. We're getting inside the city of Loudon rates, which is unusual, but we get better rates than anybody else outside the city of Loudon. And we're making it up a little bit by paying something for the tank that they put up on Watts Cemetery Road. So when you talk about the rate increases, once the cost of services study gets put into place, we don't have any jurisdiction on what rates they charge us. That's the TPUC rodeo or whatever. That's their call, not ours. So yeah, we could go either way, but we're getting wholesale water rates at less than anybody else who's getting wholesale water, considerably less. And we're paying, when the tank's paid off, our contract tells us that we revert back to inside the city of Loudon rates. So we're still a favored son of the city of Loudon, but they are no longer subsidizing our water rates because they did for decades. So now then they're just trying to get back whole. Does that help? Thank you.
Oh, please come to the mic if you don't care.
I'll stay here. I'll wait for you.
Some of the anecdotal posts that you see on social media.
Hey, can you get into the mic? Yeah,
Some of
thanks.
the anecdotal posts you might see on social media have people like in Rarity Bay or different places saying they're paying $30 a month for their water. How is that possible when we're getting paid, charged so much more here?
In other words, are we marking up our water?
You're not up here. We have infrastructural costs that go along with that. TAP is part of it. We're looking now at better options in the TAP process that were originally presented in the studies. Matt's got Jacobs going back and looking at some facts that we've located. I went out with the Public Works teams 2 weeks ago, Matt?
I'm having so much fun, I've lost track of time.
Oh, thanks for the help, appreciate it. Yeah, it was the last thing, Scott. We went out last week and we did some fire hydrant testing. There's 3 critical fire hydrants in the village. It sounds, there's a bunch of them, but there's 3 that are suspect. We went to every one of those and performed a TDEC approved test on them with our meters and gauges that are calibrated, and everything passed with flying colors. When we were irrigating at 7 a.m. in the morning and not taking any water from TAS. So we did a lot of that. We're doing a lot of studies. We're learning a lot more. He's going Honda on me, and we're going to Gimba and figuring all this stuff out and looking at it, making sure that we're not just sitting in a chair someplace and reading an engineer's report. We're going to the point to make sure that what we've got is what we're getting. Joel and I and Scott have gone to every one of the meter sites, not only in the main village, but at Kahiti. We've gone to all of the pumping stations, not only the wastewater pumping stations. Boy, that was pleasant. Not only here in the village, but at Kahiti as well. So we're getting a lot more data that it's easy to sit down and look at it and read an engineer's report and make a decision. It's a lot better to go to the spot, go to Gimba from Honda, and find out what's going on and have that discussion. And we've been doing a lot of that. And Matt's been gracious with helping us with Public Works side so that we can get access to everything.
The question, Mike, is the rates higher, substantially higher? We mark up our water.
We do mark up our water, yes.
So it's substantially higher than any other neighborhood.
Well, that's
That's true.
something we got to work on.
Yeah, but it's true.
I didn't say it wasn't.
Hold on, we've done some benchmarking.
Yeah, so Mike Braddock here, board member, liaison to FAC. I was on FAC before I came on the board. If you look at the monthly rates compared to Loudon, I don't care if you look at inside Loudon or outside Loudon, up to 5,000 gallons a month compared to Tellico, we're virtually the same. Now, I will grant you, if you go over and you're shaking your head no, I would simply ask you to do this. Go to the City of Loudon's website and look at their combined water and sewer rates. You can't look at water by itself, look at water and sewer combined. And you will see up to 5,000 gallons a month, it's very comparable. I will grant you, when you get over 5,000 gallons a month, Tellico Village is higher. No question about that. But up to 5,000, it's pretty comparable. And so what I will endeavor to do is to have Judy have a slide next month, or this board meeting, if we can get it done, or August at the latest, that shows the rate comparison. So it's there. Now, it's absolutely there. If you look at our contract with LUB that Mike was referencing before, the rate that LUB charges us is tied to the same factor as the City of Loudon, except for, and this is fair, this is what was entered into either in 1920 or 2020 or 2021. Basically, we Tellico have to pay for the assets, primarily this tank that Mike mentioned, but there were a couple other assets on a cost recovery basis over 15 to 20 years. I forget what that is. So that's how the rate is derived, that LUB charges us each year. They set the rate, and we know that the rate for 2026 is going to go up. LUB has already told us that. Now, when exactly LUB is going to complete the next cost of service study, we don't have that confirmed yet. But there will be a cost of service study. Tellico is separately listed in there. You can go look at the cost of service study that LUB has done, and you will see Tellico listed separately along with all the other, I'll say, components that they have separate water rates for. And there are, 8, 10, maybe up to a dozen different components, because they have industrial customers and various other customers. Tennessee National. So I think this has been misunderstood, that Tellico's water and sewer rates, again, you have to look at them combined, are out of line. We are not with the City of Loudon. Compared to some other utilities, perhaps, but the other thing that I would urge you to keep in mind is we not only, as Tellico Village, have to take into account our revenue and our expenses, but we also have to take into account our capital expenditures. And what I mean by that is the improvements. No contractor is going to do a project for Tellico Village if we can't demonstrate the financial resources to be able to pay for that project. And so that is a component that has to be considered. The other thing that has been done is there has been benchmarking done in the past, which was not done until about 2022. And there were folks here that went out and looked and compared the rates that we are charging with overhead compared to what other water providers, not producers, but water providers. And there is a website out there, CSI, I forget the exact website, that shows our markup rate is right in line with what many other similar type organizations are doing. So I'm just trying to give you some context of how that has all come together.
We done with me? Thanks, guys.
Irene Roberts. My question is, what percentage are we actually raising our water rates by compared to what we actually pay LUB for a gallon or whatever it is? How much are our water rates going up?
Judy, can you answer that and then maybe explain the cost to serve? We have a team, or Matt, whoever wants to explain that.
We mark our water rate up about 68%. It's in the high 60s. And that, again, that covers all of our operating expenses, and it also helps us to cover those infrastructure projects that we have to currently pay for and save for the future.
So building reserves.
Yes, to build our water and sewer reserves to where we have something to pay for those capital improvements. Also, trucks and equipment that are needed by those departments.
Okay. There's a big difference between paying our share, in other words, what LUB charges us, and marking up the water rates. And I think this is maybe where there needs to be some more explanation as to why those rates are being marked up, and showing the finances regarding that, because that is, I think that's a big issue that people don't have an understanding of. Because like I said, there's a difference between paying what LUB charges us and what we are actually paying.
Yep, and we do maintain separate departmental financial statements, of which water and sewer are presented separately and combined. And we also keep track of the capital schedule, and I think you'll see an improvement in that reporting when we rely on the new reserve study that we will start. Once we finalize it, we'll use it for next year's budget, and we'll maintain a separate capital schedule for water and sewer, apart from the rest of the assets for all of the other amenities of the POA. And I can't imagine that you won't be able to see a direct link between, because I will be going out of my way to do everything I can to make that as clear as possible, what the water rates are covering, the operating expenses, and then the full capital requirements that the reserve study will show that we need to be saving each year to be prepared to replace those assets in a timely manner and not have to defer critical maintenance or borrow money or have a special assessment to accomplish that.
Okay, so just to clarify, all the money that you are currently collecting for water and sewer goes only for water and sewer, correct?
Yes, right now, everything is in a combined reserve account, but we can just go back and look at historical records, and we can show that we are not spending water and sewer reserves to pay for Tanasi or golf carts or new amenities. Yeah, we in fact, like I say, with all of these things that we have slated for the upcoming years, we are going to be using a lot of reserves and having to come up with best options to pay for these things over time.
So my suggestion is that it not be included in the entire reserves.
Yeah, we have plans to
break it up.
separate. Yeah, that was announced a couple of months ago, and we're working on that and hoping to finalize that amount pretty soon and the policies that we want to maintain around that fund. But it will all, if you've seen any of my presentations with the water sewer infrastructure asset fee account, where I go in and account for that I put a bright shine on that, and that's what I would intend to do with all of the water sewer reserves going forward. Make that as clear as I possibly can. And also, always open door. If you have any questions and want to come and sit down with me, I'm happy to do that anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Beth, let me just add one more thing, because I think Irene brought up a really good point about letting people know what some of these water and sewer rates go. We do two things in the village that none of the other utilities do. While the homeowners own the tanks, their sewer tanks, we do all the maintenance on those tanks. So at 2 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, when your alarm goes off and your neighbor calls because he hears it instead of you because it's closer to his house than yours, we have somebody on call 24/7, 365. So if it happens on Christmas afternoon, one of our water and sewer guys are there, and they're usually there within 20 to 30 minutes maximum. They solve the problem, they get it fixed, and over the last couple of weeks, a couple of weekends, we've had 3 or 4 calls in one evening, and our water and sewer guys are fixing that. If you were in Rarity Bay or someplace else, Tennessee National, where you have, again, you own the tank, you have to find a plumber to come out Christmas afternoon so that you can still have Christmas dinner with your family. We fix that for you and all. And then secondly, water leaks. We've had, this time of the year, we've had a number of water leaks. Homeowners are calling. We find if you have a high water bill, we come and knock on your door and say, let's find your leak for you. If you call us, we send somebody from our water and sewer department out to track down that water leak almost always. Every once in a while, it's ours. It happens on the public works system where we'll have a leak. But almost always, it's in the irrigation system. We track that down. Now, we're not allowed to fix it because that's your privately owned irrigation system, but our water and sewer guys will find that for you. Those are services that the other utilities don't get. And so when Judy says, we need the extra water and sewer rates to help pay for our guys, that's some of the other things that they do that you just don't know about and all. And that's a real benefit of being here. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Richard Pope, and I just want to add and show the disconnect that we have in our budgeting process. I live on the water, so the 5,000 gallons, I always have the minimum water bill, minimum sewage bill. My neighbors across the street, they don't. And so when you raise those rates, it affects them greater than people on the water. And so when you used to have it as a pass-through, it wasn't that big of a deal. And you need to take all your capital stuff. In every HOA, POA I've lived in, you have an operating budget and you have a reserve budget. And all those capital items should be in the reserve budget, and that should all come from assessments. That way, every lot, every homeowner pays exactly the same amount to get all those services to your house, and all of our rec areas are all paying the exact same amount. Then in operations, you need to cover your operating expenses. So all these special things that Scott was talking about, that's great. They have increased cost to us. We need to have the money for that. That can come from operating assessments as well. So everybody's paying the same amount for those extra services and not being subsidized by people that have to water their irrigation. We don't. I pull mine off the lake, so I pay electricity, but I don't pay water and sewer because I'm not using that water. And so in your budget, take every capital expense, all the new vehicles, all this stuff to build up the capital in our community needs to be paid by the community equally because we're all individual. We own the same amount of the community. But the way you have it structured, people are paying more just because they're using more water than other people. And it's the same thing when you're raising all the rates in the restaurants and the bar bills and so forth to generate more profit. Those are amenities. We're supposed to be able to go there and enjoy it, but it's more expensive to go to a bar here than any place in the city. And you're taking the wrong look. You can take it and put it as part of the assessments. It'll be cheaper for everybody, but it'll be even. So everybody's paying the same thing to live here. That's my thought.
Thank you.
Can I ask Matt a question? Matt, what CMS program do we use here at the POA?
Can you help me with that acronym?
Computer Maintenance Management System. What PM program? are you using here? Because Scott alludes to, you know, we maintain these sewer systems. Just so you know, Scott,
GSI?
there's a line item on our bill for that, by the way. We pay for it directly as a fee on our bill. So it's on there, but I'm concerned that your presentations say that you're finding them, that they're degraded, someone could break a leg on them. So are they being maintained? And I love the frontline staff. I wouldn't say a bad word about anybody. The staff in the office, the guys that are out in the tree, I've spoke to them. Spoke to the guy that last week walked my dog, is out putting the collars in. But is it a reactive, corrective program, or are we doing a preventative program? Because it's really concerning to me that liability-wise, we're discovering tops that are rotted to the point someone could break their leg on it. So what CMMS program are we using? What frequency are we PMing those equipment?
I totally understand your question. I'm gonna do the best I can.
Okay.
I'm gonna step around the CMS question, but I think what you're asking is, do we maintain our water and sewer system, particularly the household tanks?
But do we have a program? Because you can't track it without a program.
Correct, I understand. So, really, the household tanks are absolutely positively designed to deal with your sewer without you knowing anything about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't we all just want to flush our toilet, and we don't really care where it goes, just out of my house?
Yep.
And we have probably about 3 legacy different types of tanks, pumps, pump panels in the inventory. Many of those tanks operate at a reliability level of probably 99 to 90.5%. Yes, we do maintain them. In all reality, we probably, in the span of a month, last time I looked at it, we probably respond to about 150 tank alarms a month. In many instances, our approach is, when those guys show up, they're gonna leave it a lot better than the way they found it, not just fix the problem. But when people ask me, like, what do you do to maintain the tanks? Well, the system is intended to operate without our manual interaction. When things break, we fix the things we observe and we take care of them. But as Scott's alluding to, I think your point was simply, we provide a higher level of service than what you might find in another utility. And
I love the service. I'm not.
Okay.
I'm asking a straight-up question. What preventive maintenance program does this POA have? We have $400 million of assets. We're just about to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on new pumps and everything else. What CMS program is this PO using with the manufacturer and other recommendations on monthly, quarterly, annual PMs? Because everything you just described, and I'm very appreciative of it, is reactive. What CMS, do we have one or not? I'm guessing no. So we have a spreadsheet somewhere or Excel or something?
Matt, let me take that. We have a work order management system that every time we go out and do any work on the tanks themselves, everything that we've used is tracked and then reordered. I'm sorry, I don't know what the underlying, I don't know the name of the system, but everything that we do for any of your maintenance is all tracked, and it's all in the system. We manage it and we do that. That said, the PM, as Matt said, the systems are designed to function. There is nothing to PM on them other than that tank lid being cracked, because some of these pumps have been in are the original pumps from 35 years ago. There's nothing to PM. The manufacturer does not, it's a set and forget. You put it in the tank, and when it breaks, you either fix it or replace it. We usually just replace it because it's 20 years later.
Bigger picture, we have $4 million worth of assets. Who's maintaining, what PM program do you have for the air conditioning system in this building?
Yeah, we have that.
For the roofs, everything else? That should be in a program. It should be easy to say, yeah, we have a program, it kicks out PM.
I just don't know the name of it.
I'm sorry. I think I was attempting to answer a specific question about the pumps. As for preventive maintenance, for instance, on HVAC systems, we have an annual contract with IMS, Interstate Mechanical System, that does 3 preventative maintenance visits on every air conditioning unit, HVAC unit we have in the system. We keep preventative maintenance activities on our rolling stock in Public Works. I'm trying to recall, that's 32, 33 pieces of rolling stock. I struggle to name all of our preventive maintenance activities. We do
Building maintenance?
building maintenance, we do PMM applications on our streets, including overlay. I'm sorry, you asked a specific question about a tank, and I was trying to answer that, but if you're asking in general about PMM, we do preventive maintenance on all of our assets. We do them on the docks.
So I've stepped in, but we
Okay.
don't have a formalized process. We have
Yep.
programs. We talked about it last month.
You're right.
In the presentations, that we were going to implement a CMMS.
You're
It's
right.
one of the goals for this year.
You're right.
So we have informal contracts and preventive maintenance, but we don't have a program. I spent 25 years managing large facility management groups, and it would behoove us to have a formal program.
We can agree, and that is something that the board has talked about in the context of their balanced scorecard. And the goal for 2026 is to formalize those programs, get them in place, report on them. 2027, we're going to be held to a standard of not just did you write them down, how accurate were you and how timely were you in producing those sorts of preventive maintenance activities. Yep.
Hi, I'm Gig Wilkowski. I live in Tanasi Hills. Before I get on what I want to talk about, I want to thank every board member who I think are friends of mine or social acquaintances or whatever, and I appreciate everything they do, and most everybody in the village I think thinks that way of them too. Now I'm going to ask them my favor. I would like them, the board members and anybody else in the listening audience or here, to go by and look at every storage unit in Loudoun County, and then come back and tell me if you want to live near one. The only one I'll accept is the new air-conditioned one across from Ingalls. That one doesn't count. There's nothing outside. But I'd like everybody on the board, everybody listening, to go look at the 2 storage units that we have in Tellico proper, the one over on Davis Ferry or the one behind Sloan's, and just come back and tell the board how much you want to live next door to one, because that's what the board and the ACC and the Highway Committee and everybody's telling the people in Tanasi Hills, we have to live near one because the man owns the property and he wants to put one there and we can't stop him. Thank you.
Thanks, Gig.
Hi, Joel Reed on the board. I just wanted to help clarify the question about markup on water. So Judy mentioned 68%, and I know it was difficult for me to understand it until somebody explained it to me. So I ask you to get your calculators out. So if you would like to follow along with me, you sure can. Although we have a sliding scale on our water pricing, the basis is we pay LUB $417 per thousand, and we charge the residents $13 per thousand. So I struggled saying, how do you get 68% out of that? So from a calculation standpoint, you just take the $13 that we're charged and you subtract the $4.17, and that leaves you with $8.83. You divide that by $13, and that gets you your 68%. I hope that clarifies that.
Well, that's when you sell something, but it's actually
I'm just explaining.
2.5 times market.
Right. But when we say 68%, we're all, we're saying, well, it doesn't add up. But I just want to explain that's how that came up with.
You're right.
Right. And the other thing too, I want to make you, thank you. I want to make something clear. The questions that I have, that I have as a board member and as a resident is, what happened to the cost of maintaining our water and sewer and our monthly assessment? So while we're studying all of these things, making sure that water and sewer markup goes only to water and sewer, we really need to be taking a very close look at our monthly assessment and making sure we're not double dipping anyone. Okay? So that's my commitment to you, is I will make sure that I am looking at that very closely as a resident to make sure there's no double dipping going on. So thank you.
We have a question online for Matt or Scott, whoever would like to answer this. Do we have preventative maintenance programs monthly on our valves for the water and sewer system? Yes. Yes, thank you. All right, well, if we have no one else in line, I think that finishes our town hall for July, and we thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.